Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scouts. Here we'll discuss the best armband options for Gameweek 35. My name is Joe and joining me is Fantasy Football Scouts Tom Freeman. Tom, welcome. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, Joe. Had a busy weekend and I ended up covering every Premier League game for Scouts, so should be fairly well informed for this one. But yeah, all good here, thanks.
Okay, so I was away last week. Hopefully all went well, as held the fort. I've just come back from Barcelona. Didn't see any football, but did eat a lot and see some nice artistic things. So before we crack on with the best captain picks for Game Week 35, I understand you've got a few words to say about Fan Team.
Yep, so there is the weekly monster on for Game Week 35, which we've spoken about a few times before. It's, pick 11 players, safety net in place, and there's some tasty fixtures this weekend. And given that European ties are either side of the game week, might be a few differential punts as well, which we'll probably discuss and touch on in this video. So yeah, check out the weekly monster if you're into your fantasy games.
Okay. Well, what we're going to do, so we've been sort of changed around what we do for the captaincy video the last 2 or 3 weeks. We'll sort of tell a story. This is how we're thinking about who we're going to captain. And so we'll look at things like the fixtures, latest stats, best attacks, the worst defences. And then we'll come up at the end with our top 3 picks based on some of that information. And also just what we feel like as well. So we have some different issues this week. One is one of the prime candidates, Salah, plays at lunchtime. Meanwhile, there are some tasty alternatives. So let's have a look at the fixtures first. This shows that your team, Villa, top against Norwich. Deemed to be the best fixture this week by Fantasy Football Scout. Burnley against Watford, a resurgent Burnley attack against Watford. Manchester United against Brentford, but I don't know. I've got Fernandes in my team, and I'm not keen. Meanwhile, Liverpool have got Newcastle, so Salah will be popular, I would imagine. Tottenham against Leicester. Now they're the team that I'm most interested in, because in my head Tottenham against Leicester's massively high scoring every time. Perhaps not, but anyway, looking at the fixtures here, who do you think so far would you want to captain based on the fixtures? Well,
if you're simply looking at fixtures, then it makes sense to look at the top, and Villa are right up there, but there's issues with Villa's attack. We haven't scored an open play goal, I think it's since game week 29. Looked better against Leicester at the weekend, but that was based on defensive improvements rather than any kind of swashbuckling attacking play. So that you'd have to be a pretty brave manager, I think, to go for a Coutinho or a Watkins this weekend. But of those fixtures, City's looks really good, doesn't it, at Leeds?
Yeah.
The Champions League 11 will hopefully give us some hints as to who will start that one. Liverpool quite a way down on that list, and we'll talk about Newcastle and their improvements under Eddie Howe. But still, given how well Liverpool are playing, and they have been for a while now, it still feels like a fixture where you could confidently back one of their attackers with the captaincy, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So I've got the stats I'll put up next, which is XGI, which is expected goal involvement last 4, which would indicate some of the good recent performers. But before I do, I just want to welcome some of the 140 or so people who've joined us in the live chat early. So thanks a lot. Do press that like button. Do subscribe if you're not already, and do tell your friends to subscribe. And press the like button, even if they're not watching. Just press the like button. So welcome to Kurt Cronshaw. FPL Spartans, Moshi, Rakan, Kadak Washi, Sahil, Jono, and more. Thanks so much for joining us. FPL Spartans pointed out that I accidentally made a joke and I didn't even realise it. So I'm going to own up and say, apparently I said Salah has a lunchtime kickoff, and there's others with tasty alternatives too. So a lunchtime theme. I had no idea.
Neither did I. Sorry,
very remiss of me. It's usual for you to miss my puns, but it's very
exactly
remiss of me to miss my own puns. But nevertheless, thank you so much, FPL Spartans, for pointing that out. Hello, Chef, Christopher, and Joshua, Kevin, Simon, who've all just joined us just while we've been talking just then. So let's have a look at some more stats then. This is expected goal involvement last four. So let's see if they give us any clues to sort of recent performers. Jesus is at the top, mainly because he probably put in his season's worth of stats in one game. Saka, wow, still up there, playing arguably one of the easiest teams to play at the moment in Manchester United. Richarlison doing wonders with his gamesmanship, he's certainly got that going for him. I meant that Arsenal had played Manchester United. They've got West Ham. So I meant that they just cut off the back of a very easy match. Werner, who I got in while I was on holiday, in a quick 60 seconds before I ate on a Friday night, I thought I'll have him. I can just afford him. He's done nothing for me so far, but Werner
could still pay off. One more game, obviously.
Yeah, could do well. Could be good against Everton. But will the gamesmanship prevail there? Pukki, Cornet. I mean, these aren't. I'm not filled with woo. Pukki, Cornet, Zaha, then Salah, Weghorst, and Bruno Guimaraes. So, looking at this, it's not Salah at the top. It's not Kane at the top. KDB at the top, is it?
No, I think Saka's interesting, isn't he? Those numbers have been boosted by 2 penalties, I think. But that going forward, if Saka's going to remain on penalties, which you'd expect him to, because I can't see Lacazette getting back in anytime soon while they're playing well. So that's a massive kind of plus for him. And the timing of this game against West Ham is really nice for them, because West Ham have got Europa semis either side against Frankfurt. And they've got a bit of a crisis at the back as well, because Dawson is now suspended. And they've also got Zuma, Ogbonna and Diop out. So it's going to be a patched up side at the back. They're possibly going to rotate because of those European matches. So I think there's quite a lot. If Saka's fit, because he did come off with a little bit of a knock at the weekend, I don't think it's anything too serious, but that's something to monitor. But if he is going to be okay, this match, it looks like a good matchup for him this week. A lot better than probably it looked a couple of weeks ago anyway.
So the latest on Saka's injury is that, as far as we know, it's minor. But
I believe so.
So that's a relief. He certainly helped salvage something out of this game week that's currently taking place for me so far. There's all. I think what this shows is that there's some differential captains to choose. So if you don't fancy Salah against Newcastle, and you're not so keen on Spurs against Leicester, or indeed you think, because KDB has got some. I don't know, it's not injury as such, but I think Pepper's hinted, hasn't he, that a lot of his players, and I believe KDB's included, are sort of carrying niggling injuries. Is that right?
Yeah, he came out after the game at the weekend, and KDB came off early at the weekend, and I think there is going to be a bit of minute management. I think rather than resting players completely, given the position they're in the league, I think we can expect most of the big players to start all of these games. But I do think if they're in a position where they're 2 or 3 good goals to the good after 65-ish minutes, I think then we could see those key players. And by that, I mean De Bruyne. I think Laporte came off early at the weekend as well. I think they could see a little bit of minute management. So you might want to bear that in mind as well if you're considering the captaincy, because City, I think, are pretty appealing this week. So some people might be looking at that.
Okay, but I mean, Jesus has just sort of hogged the stats recently, mainly on that one game. So it proves that looking at a short time frame can be misleading. But nevertheless, if you think Jesus is going to start, well, there we go. Could be a good option there. Werner still Chelsea. Still,
Yeah.
still knocking around in these stats. He's played 6 of the last 7, I believe. So, or rather, started 6 of the last 7. Let's have a look at the best attack, see if that's going to give us any other help. So, ideally, what we want, if we want to captain Salah, we want Liverpool at the top, we want to captain City, so on. And but let's see who's at the top here. Best attacks, last 4 matches. Well, it's Chelsea by a bit of a distance, really. With 10 expected goals, and they've indeed scored 10, which is quite nice. City are right up there as well. They've scored 12 goals, expected to score 9. Arsenal have scored 8, and they've expected goals is just over 8. Liverpool scored 10, but a bit overperforming slightly. So they've expected to have scored just under 8. And then you've got this resurgent Burnley. Ever since they changed manager to Michael Jackson. It is Michael Jackson, isn't it? I didn't misread that.
It's Mike Jackson. I don't know
I'm
if it's
call
full
Michael
name.
Jackson.
I mean, yeah, it might be. I'm not sure, or whether he purposely just went with Mike Jackson to avoid all the jokes. Although he's getting it anyway, I think. Anyway,
Tell you what, it's Fulham all over again. Yuri Geller will be joining the team next, and
they're doing well. I mean, it's working, isn't it? I mean, I think they're unbeaten in 3 under him, and they seem to have a bit more attacking threat than they had in under Dyche all season. They're playing 3 attackers each week, and wingers high up the pitch, and it's been quite good to see.
The reason I mentioned them is because they're playing Watford, and Watford traditionally, or certainly this season, has been the fixture to target. Could this be a Weghorst captaincy?
Well, I think people are just happy to get any points from him if they own him, don't they? I don't know if they'd be going for captaincy. I think people are just relieved to see something, because people have held him for a long time, I think, and. But yeah, I think he's racked up something like 7 shots over the past 2 or 3 games under Josh. 7 shots in the box, which is, I think he only managed 11 under Dyche, and there's 12 games with him. So it's helping. Yeah, the wingers are higher up the pitch. Cornet's playing better prior to his injury. McNeil's come into the team and has been looked at much better than he had done all season. So yeah, I mean, suddenly you're looking at your Burnley attackers maybe in a different light, and it's a good fixture, isn't it? So you're definitely going to play them this weekend.
Definitely. So far it's looking, if you've got Chelsea asset, could be good. City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. I mean, these are the teams so far I think I'd want to target.
Course, yeah.
So no great surprises there, and they do have some favourable fixtures. So let's have a look at defences though. See if that can give us help. So ideally, what we want to see, just going back to the fixtures again. So Chelsea against Everton. So you want Everton to be one of the worst defences. City against Leeds. So you want Leeds to be one of the worst there. Arsenal against West Ham. So you want West Ham low down there. And Liverpool against Newcastle. That's what we want to see. Newcastle as a poor defence. I'm deliberately teeing up because I've put this table in, so I know that Newcastle secretly aren't really a bad defence at all. So let's have a look. Worst defences, last 4 matches. Well, let's go to the bottom of this table. The second best defence last 4 matches is Newcastle. Expected goals conceded 2, compared to Southampton expected goals conceded nearly 10. And they've conceded just 1 goal, and they're against Liverpool. So I'm going to this says to me, don't captain Salah. But it's Salah. So, yeah, what do you think?
Well, Liverpool as a team and Salah, I think they tick all the captaincy boxes. Liverpool are in great form. Salah has, I think, it's 5 attacking returns in the last 3 games. So, in that sense, all's fine. Give the armband to Salah. But there's the schedule, which is the first issue. Now, Liverpool play on Wednesday against Villarreal in the Champions League, and then they've got this early kickoff on Saturday. Now Klopp actually tried to get this fixture moved. He wasn't happy it would be in the early kickoff, and it was rejected by the Premier League, and that tells us everything we need to know about the timing of this. It's not great for Liverpool, because then they are in Champions League action again on next Tuesday against Villarreal. So I don't think they're going to rest Salah because of the magnitude of the game. I think they have to keep winning, and I think that table tells you that this isn't going to be a match which they take lightly. But Newcastle have been really good under Eddie Howe. I think if you look at how many points each Premier League team has got this year, only Liverpool have got more points than Newcastle in 2022. And I think Newcastle have played a couple of extra games than City, who I think would bypass them with a win. But still they're playing very, very well. They've only conceded 13 in their last 14 games, and 5 of those were against Spurs. So take that game out and it looks even healthier for them. But I think that what that does tell us is that when they come up against the very best attacks, like Spurs were in that moment, maybe not so much now, but when they were then, they can trouble them, the best teams. And I think Guimaraes is coming in and is doing really well. But I think if you look at that Newcastle team, I see John Joe Shelvey in that holding midfield role. I see the fullbacks like Emil Kraft and Matt Targett. And I think that a team as good as Liverpool going forward will still ask plenty of questions. But certainly if you're going to strictly follow the stats, then this isn't a fixture. You're not expecting a big win for Liverpool, are you? You're not expecting them to go and score 3 or 4 goals, I don't think.
No, so I mean, why I sort of jokingly said about Weghorst against Watford, but at the same time, perhaps Wilfried Zaha against Southampton. Southampton are streets ahead of the others in terms of sheer awfulness at the back, and Zaha looked impressive last night. He could have got a haul. I mean, as a Brighton fan, whenever you watch, I always feel sorry for the team facing Zaha, because I know no matter what they do or how they play, Zaha will probably score in the last minute and crush their dreams. and he pretty much almost did last night.
Had a lot of shots.
Had a lot of shots,
didn't they?
And that says to me he could be a cheeky differential. Zaha, he's not in my top 3, which we'll put up in a sec. But I'm starting to wish I had put him there, really, because I think he is a good differential captaincy.
Yeah, I think he's good for the run-in too. I think Palace have got some good fixtures. I love the fact he's on penalties as well, and he's a bit of the talisman there, isn't he? Yeah. You know, if Palace are going to perform well, you expect Zaha to be involved, because Mateta's had a little drop off recently.
Yeah.
Ayew, I think, on the other flank, and Olise when he plays there, they're more providers. So I think. I think Zaha, I mean, I played my wild card last week and he was very close to making it. But in terms of a differential captain, not completely against it. So, yeah,
any other thoughts looking at the worst offences the last 4 in terms of the captaincy before we reveal our top 3 picks?
Well, West Ham are there, aren't they? So in terms of another differential captain, if he's fit, I think we spoke about it earlier, but Saka. Yeah. I wouldn't be against that because of the timing of that match. And I think if you own an Arsenal attacker, this could be a good week for them. I'd expect them to go and score a couple there.
Okay.
And Leicester as well. But should we talk about that with our top 3s, and we can talk about Leicester a little bit then, who come up against Spurs?
Yeah, that's it. So it's Spurs that really intriguing me. So I've got, as I said at the start of the show, Fernandes, and there'll be a few people with Ronaldo as well, and certainly some angry people with Fernandes. And it's an easy move to Son. It's an easy move to Kane.
Yeah.
And Leicester, Spurs against Leicester, I don't know. It's almost like in FPL folklore. I think it was from that. There was one particular game where Harry Kane just went off, but Son. I can't recall Son scoring too often, but nevertheless, I think currently, if you think Spurs are going to prevail, Son and Kane are going to be involved. They're one of those teams you can actually rely on for FPL point scorers. One is going to assist the other. So, I mean, with that in mind, should we put our top 3 picks up and chat a bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so these are our top 3 picks. Okay, well, you go for yours first, because yours is arguably more Spurs-centric than mine. But nevertheless, I've got quite a big Spurs contingent there in Son.
Yeah. Well, number 1, Salah I just spoke about that quite a bit. It's still kind of where I'm looking for the captaincy. I don't know whether I'll land on it at the end of the week, but there's loads of kind of. There's loads of things I'm looking at there thinking Salah can get something from this fixture despite playing a better defence. But in terms of Spurs, I mean, they haven't had a shot on target in the last 2 games now. They've played Brentford and Brighton in that time. They weren't great in the game before that against Villa, which is kind of coincide. Well, for the first half anyway against Villa. Second half, they obviously went and scored 3 more goals. But in the first half, they were the second best team. And so that's coincided with Doherty being out, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that that is enough reason to overreact to it and think that he's key to that whole system.
I completely agree, because I don't know about you, but I seem to remember Kane and Son doing really well without Doherty in the team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the wing backs are really important in that Conte system, and there is a drop off when you've got Emerson Royale there. But I'm not sure if that's enough where we're suddenly going to see Kane and Son blanking for another 2 or 3 weeks. I don't think we should overreact to those 2 games. It's not great. But I still think, given this fixture, because Leicester, European action either side against Roma, now they're rotating a heck of a lot anyway. Now, what I will say with Leicester is they have got a bit more depth than what West Ham have. If you take out the centre backs, so if you take out Evans and Fofana this weekend, you've still got Soyuncu and Amate who can come in, who are good players. You take out Pereira and Castagne in the fullback spots, and James Justin and Luke Thomas can come in. They've got Vardy coming back, so they have got a bit more depth. But I think this is a fixture which traditionally Spurs have done well in. I think Leicester are quite a proactive team. Yeah. I don't think they're going to sit back and go deep and frustrate them like
Brentford and Brighton would.
Exactly, yeah. I think it's going to be I think Rodgers' team will naturally kind of look to take the initiative, and that could be good for Spurs. So I've got Kane and Son in there at the moment. I don't own either in my team. I can move to Son from Sterling, who I took a bit of a punt on last week, and it didn't work. So I might still go there.
Yeah.
And those are the top 3 at the moment. And for my own team, it's probably going to be Salah, or if I bring in Son, then he might come into the reckoning.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar thoughts to me. Salah currently the bus captain because I don't own my other 2 choices. So my top choice is Son. And that for me, personally, is because I've got Fernandes and it's very easy to get to him. If I had Kane, or it was very easy for me to get to Kane, I would have put Kane in there. But I've done that one because I knew you were putting Kane in as well. So I wanted to mix it up a bit. But yeah, I think that I'm definitely sort of glass half full on this one. As I said, Son and Kane are good without Doherty. They've been good for a number of years. So Son's had 8 double-digit hauls, and that's what we're after for the captaincy, aren't we? We just want somebody who's going to get loads and loads of points.
And his home form has been excellent.
And his home form, he's at home against the Leicester side, sandwiched in between tough, European games for them. I get the impression from Rodgers as well, which this could be good for Spurs, in that he wants to, for the integrity of the league, he's not going to just put out some children. You mentioned the squad depth there. He does have the squad depth. And the Leicester team will perform. It will not just sit back and look for a 0-0 or try and sneak a 1-0. It will go for it on this one. It will look to win because there's a top four race going on. And for the integrity of the league, he's going to do that. And I would imagine they would do that as well against teams fighting relegation. So for me, I think Son and Kane, I think it's a good opportunity because I think over their recent form, people will default go to Salah, and I think that Salah has a tough fixture in Newcastle. I mean, we showed the defensive stats. They're the second best defence at the moment, vastly improved. As you said, Klopp really doesn't want this fixture to take place at that time, and I seem to remember Klopp being I don't know how to phrase this, a little bit toys out the pram when it comes to scheduling and fixture scheduling, and he's a bit, well, I'm just going to put out the kids then or something like that. and I can just see him doing something like, I think he's done that in the past. I mean, I know there was a bit of rotation, people were expecting a lot of rotation against Everton, but I seem to remember some Merseyside derbies in the past which were inconvenient times for Liverpool, where suddenly Origi would start, that type of thing. And I just wonder. So I'm not 100% on Salah even starting this. I'm certainly not 100% on them getting a massive haul. Could do. It's Salah. It could do. But Son or Kane, I think are great. But yeah, I've got KDB in my list as well. Slightly selfish because I could get him in for a hit very easily. For Fernandes, but I do think with the amount of strong returns he's got recently, especially the turn of this year, I think he is once again reliable because it's just points. When Man City score, I look to see who scored, who's assisted, and I'm surprised if De Bruyne is not a scorer or an assister. So his goal involvement is prolific, but as you said, it's maybe minutes might be managed, so which elevates Son up. And I just think with Son and Kane, they're just going to play, aren't they?
Well, they're rested as well. They're not in European action, are they? And I think that really helps. So I think that's appealing for City. I mean, there's loads of upside there. I mean, I went for Sterling last week, and it obviously didn't pay off, but Jesus' haul is kind of why you take that punt sometimes, isn't it? Because they're that explosive. On another day, that could have been Sterling. That's why we keep doing it. Yeah. And it sometimes works with Mahrez, it sometimes doesn't. But I think the really good thing with City and Liverpool is the goal different aspect as well. The teams are so tight. They're both, trying to, City are trying to get back in there, and then Liverpool respond. And it feels like even if it's 2-0, those teams will still go for 3, 4, 5 goals in each game rather than shut up shop. I suppose what we want this week for Liverpool is we want them to be 2 or 3-0 up against Villarreal and be able to bring off maybe a Salah after 65, 70 minutes. And that might give you a bit more confidence for the weekend.
Yes, but definitely.
Maybe, but let's just see what happens. If it's... it's hard to say without seeing those Champions League matches first.
There is also the rather annoying timing of this, and this depends on the type of manager you are. It's a Saturday lunchtime, so I mean I've captained many a player on a Saturday lunchtime. And,
I don't like it.
And if it doesn't work out, it really is switch off the telly time, switch off the computer.
It happened to me very recently because I was one of those, I would say unfortunate but possibly stupid managers who went for Bruno Fernandes early. But I went earlier than most. I went the week prior to the double when he played Everton.
Right.
And given Everton's form, I thought it's an opportunity. I stuck the armband on him. And that was the early kickoff on Saturday, and it does it can affect your mood for the day, should I say? So definitely. There is that. I don't think we should make decisions based on that, but it's certainly if it gets off to a bad start, it can be hard to recover in that game week.
What you're buying into by not captaining someone in that fixture is hope. So yes, but at the same time, if you own Salah, which most people do, they own Salah. So if he does well, you've only got a slight rank decrease. I looked at that. That's another thing to bring into the equation. Really, is the overall effective ownership. Right? And I noticed that around my rank, Salah was 128% owned.
Similar,
So I lost 20. So I only got 28% cut to my rank there by Salah just showing up, and so every assist was a little dent. So if he did haul, that would have cost me. But that's what you buy into. I think it'll be a bit different this time. I think there might be some different attitudes, and I think there might be some that don't like that Saturday lunchtime kickoff.
Yeah, I can completely see why. I mean, he's my top choice, but what we've spoken about there, I may well look at. I think it depends on your position and your rank as well. But I think we're running out of time, aren't we? Yeah. I need to make up some ground, and this feels like maybe a week where you can back against Salah.
I think you. So you got Sterling in and captained him last time.
Oh, I know. I didn't captain.
Oh, you didn't captain him. You got Sterling in.
Yeah, I captained Kai Havertz, which also didn't go very well. But we still got a game to go. But these are the opportunities I'm looking for now to go against Salah.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point. As the season draws to a close, the league positions where you and I are in, like outside of the top 100k, we need to do this type of thing. So Wenger is my, currently my captain. Havertz for you. Some people did actually go captain Sterling. These are the sorts of moves you have to do really to move up the table. But nevertheless, it can come with a risk, and it can come with disappointment. Just before we go, just thanks a lot for all of those that joined us in the live chat. FPL Spartans has made a good point as well. Actually, the issue for captaining Tottenham assets, he says, is that teams have worked them out and how to blunt them. So it's not necessarily Doherty; it's just wing backs in general. Thomas Frank at Brentford explained in an interview how to do it. CRB
will Leicester do that though?
Yeah.
So that's the difference. So certain teams will do that, but will Leicester? I don't see Leicester going up there and playing deep. But maybe Rodgers will have taken some tips from it. Who knows?
So in my haste to talk about my captain of Werner, I think I called him Wenger, which is Shantunu has just pointed out in the live chat.
I did notice, but I knew you meant.
Caught me up on that, because obviously I'm not going to captain
I knew what you.
a 65-year-old man. Although however old he is,
that would ruin your weekend, wouldn't it?
That would ruin my weekend. Although if that 65-year-old man was maybe, I don't know, Pele, maybe it's worth a shot. But in the meantime, yes, no. Apologies to everyone there. I have not captained Arsene Wenger. But Tom, thanks so much for joining me. Thanks to all those that joined us in the live chat. It looks for you, Salah, bus captain, but you've got your eye on the Spurs lads. For me, I'm firmly on a Spurs asset there, Son in my case. But I would heartily recommend anyone who owns Kane to perhaps go that way. But Salah, can't ignore him. But in the meantime, good luck with your captaincy choice, and good luck everyone. See you next time.
Thanks, Joe.